Happy Thursday. Today we wrap up our thinking on hope, and I want to give you a challenge. So a few years ago, I realized that I needed to own my disposition more than I was owning it. That is, I sensed the need to be a person whose outlook was shaped by the joyful hope that Paul writes about in Romans 12, and not to have my disposition shaped by the headaches and hassles, the trials and the troubles, the setbacks of this world. Life is hard for everybody always, so I needed to find ways to not get worn down by the challenges and the stresses. It was becoming obvious to me that I was around a growing number of people who were stressed, who were agitated, frustrated, scared, confused, whatever. Now, if I was in a pretty good place spiritually, I could be unaffected by that, perhaps even be a contributor to helping them raise their sights. If I wasn't in a good place spiritually, if I wasn't sort of filled up, if I wasn't sort of coming with a mood of hope, then I could perhaps contribute to the problem. And if I didn't push back when they pushed on me, maybe I'm not in that bad of a spot, but I'm very likely to miss an opportunity to be the kind of person that could give them some hope and encouragement, and be a person that brings some grace and some perspective and the love of Christ to other people. So it's possible in the worst case, right, that I'm going to push back, or I'm going to be drawing on other people's resources in order to navigate the challenges that I had. So I wanted to be a backstop against negativity. I wanted to be able to take some pain and anger and hurt and frustration out of the system. I wanted to be able to absorb some cheap shots and body blows, because after all, Jesus has clearly done that for me times 10 million more than what I'll ever do for anyone else. So I just wanted to be there. But that meant that I had to start my day by getting filled up. And I'm not going to get filled up by reading email. I'm not going to get filled up by looking at my to-do list. I'm not going to get filled up by trying to get ahead at work, because there is no getting ahead in your job probably either, certainly not in my job. And so I was going to have to be filled up with a sense of the grace and the love and the mercy and the goodness and the holiness and the awe of God. I was going to have that to give to other people and not need to make a withdrawal. So I want to invite you to be a person of hope. Look, I'm hopeful. I'm as confused as the next guy about how some of the challenges ahead of us collectively are going to get worked out. I'm maybe a little bit more optimistic, having done this book on the future a few years ago, realizing that it's very easy to project how problems will magnify and grow over time. It's usually not as easy to figure out solutions, because they tend to come from left field. But I just have learned that we're often better at this than I think we're going to be. But that's not biblical hope. That's just being optimistic. So I'm cautiously optimistic about some things, but I want to be a person of hope, biblical hope, empowered by God, a love of God, a trust that He's got everything under control, and keeping one eye on eternity, where I know how that works out. So I'm sorry if you're getting beat up. Hang in there, but fix your eyes on our risen Savior and be people of hope.